discussion about matter, energy, and consciousness. It's good for us to recall that these are the three aspects of every existing cosmic body. Matter, energy, and consciousness. Meaning that from the smallest particle up to the biggest collection of particles, everything is made of matter, energy, and consciousness. Naturally, we as human organisms have these three aspects. And as we've been explaining, we tend to be rather unaware of them. In fact, we tend to be asleep and not realize the interrelationship between the three aspects of existence. We have a relative awareness of physical matter, although as it comes and goes, we tend to forget even that we're in a physical body. And we have very little awareness of our energy. We only really notice it when it's gone, and we try to supplement energy drinks, caffeine, or other types of activities. Consciousness, we tend to not be aware of at all. We have no real knowledge of, awareness, consciousness. Yeah, when we study the Gnostic tradition or any real form of mysticism or religion, our goal is precisely to unite and master these three forces, three elements. Become a true Gnostic, in fact, is to have consciousness of your energy and matter. To be fully conscious and in control of your energy and matter. We begin that effort or that path by awakening consciousness. We awaken consciousness by saving energy and by retrieving energy from where it is trapped in the condition of matter. So our previous lectures were about that. And if we've been applying those principles in our spiritual practice, the result should be that we should start to accumulate more energy. We should rather create energy. Instead of wasting energy in frivolous activities or worse, meaning energy in harmful, particularly psychological, we start to take that energy and apply it towards beneficial purposes. Helping humanity, helping the world, rise out of the planet. So that is the real purpose of these studies, is to awaken consciousness, create energy in matter, dominate matter, in that effort, the student who is succeeding in conquering their own defects and errors, changing their habits, discarding harmful and useless habits for the useful ones, they begin to change how their energy functions, change how their matter functions, in fact, change how their consciousness functions. And the result is that they begin to have more energy. Now this can have a dramatic effect, depending on the degree of intensity of the work. Most commonly, that energy is immediately used by other humans. Most of the time, as soon as we start to get a little success in our our meditation practice or our self-observation practice, we start to have that free energy, but other habits or other egos tend to take that energy for themselves. And we find ourselves back. So this is the challenge that we get. Ultimately, over a period of some serious effort, the student seeks to acquire what we call psychological equilibrium, which is where consciousness dominates your brain. In other words, we have conscious awareness of what's happening. We're able to maintain cognizance of that and not be swept away by discursive thought, habitual thought, obsessive thought. Secondly, we become more conscious of our emotional state and are able to cognitively monitor the state of our feelings, what's arising and passing in our heart. And we're no longer swept away by reactions in an emotional, like getting upset or getting excited. We're able to maintain an emotional balance. And third, we're able to maintain conscious awareness and equanimity in our motor instinctual perception. Meaning that we're not swept away by impulse. We're not swept away by sexual desire. We're not swept away by instinct. We're able to maintain control and growth. This is not easy. To arrive at this is not easy. It requires that we have a great deal of energy feeding consciousness. Now we have a challenge that emerges. Really, it's emerging the whole time. As soon as we enter into the work, this challenge presents itself. And it becomes critical. And that is those elements, one decade, become very important. You see, as we've been discussing, we have an enormous amount of energy in us. It's all trapped. That energy is equivalent to consciousness. Parts of the same. We can't separate energy and consciousness. All of our energy and consciousness is trapped in habitual thinking, discursive emotions, all of those multitudes of elements in our submerged consciousness. There's enough energy there to create a planet. Give rise to an enormous, beautiful life, form of life, far beyond this type of physical life. Enormous energy. We can't access it because it's sustaining the ego. That ego does not want to let go. It does not. It will fight. It will fight with every tool it has to keep that energy. So that's what we call the Black Lodge. That word Black Lodge has different applications. First and foremost, it relates to our unconscious and unconscious mind. We have our own Black Lodge. That's what matters. It is all the egos in us that have all of our energy and consciousness trapped. They use it to keep us enslaved, to sustain themselves. And that structure, that scenario, is symbolized in every religion and race. In Christianity, it's represented as the three traitors of Jesus: Judas, Caiaphas, Pilate. We find those same three traitors in the High and Public, broken and in the Masonic tradition. in every tradition we find those three triggers. And those three are also seven. They are the seven deadly sins. They are those virtues and virtues. Pride that should be humility. Chastity that has become lust. So the energy, the consciousness of chastity is lust, is chastity. Same forces, but inverted. That is the Black Lodge. That is hell. That is in us. That is why it's up. Challenge then is to learn how to change it. To do that, we first have to see the enemy. As long as we're living in a fantasy land, doing our best to convince ourselves that we really are good people doing our best, then we really don't get good. No. As long as we do not recognize the existence, the fact, the truth of the defects in our own mind, we will never change. We have to see the truth about ourselves. We have to be sincere. Truly sincere. Are we really gods? Are we really masters of the planet? Are we really masters of nature? Are we even masters of ourselves? Let's be honest. Let's stop thinking like we know everything, like our science has solved all the problems, like our religions have solved the problems of immortality and eternity. Like our families have solved the problems of unconditional love. They have not. We need to sincerely observe the facts of our lives and come to recognize that the core of the entire problem of humanity is not outside of us. This is what the story of David and Goliath represents. In the Bible, everyone's probably heard the story of that small boy David, the weakling, who, inspired by his faith in God, faced off against the Philistines and their terrible warrior, Goliath. That is the reality of our task. Because our consciousness, that free portion, is very small and very weak. That is the part of us that actually has virtue, that is untarnished by selfishness. It is more or less only 3% of our consciousness. The remaining 97% is trapped in self-love, pride, self-esteem, anger, resentment, hate, jealousy, envy, fear, gluttony, laziness. 3% is very small and very weak. This is David and Goliath. So how are we, as the weakling child, to conquer the giant warrior? Laughs at us, mocks us. Normally, when students come into these types of teaching and learns and may be amazed and impressed and very enthusiastic about the knowledge, and may develop a great sense of motivation and intention to succeed, and believe very much that they will do. May even talk big. Yeah, I'm going to be an instructor, and I'm going to resurrect my astral body, my mental body, and my causal body, and I'm going to amaze you. Well, that's all pride. Firstly. And it's also completely unrealistic. The fact is, to achieve anything in this world, that I, that you, has to die. everything that you think you are. We don't like to hear that. We don't like to say that. It's painful. This structure of a self that we've sort of put together in this lifetime is all fake. It isn't our real identity. It's a hodgepodge, aggregate, a collection of random junk that we put together every self. And it consists of our name, our memories, our history, our traumas, our taste in music and clothing. But in reality, if you observe it objectively, in superior levels, maybe it's junk. It's garbage. It's meaningless. And I'll tell you something. The older people will know a single strong event in your life can shatter you. When your beloved one leaves you, it's all you're left. You become ashamed in front of you. That sense of self.
I wasn't even playing. I was eating Pop-Tarts, and I was eating Pop-Tarts dipped in a cream cheese icing and drinking some Kratom.
Where is the beauty of the soul? Where is the mastery of the
My team did all the work for me.
There's none. That's all nothing. See, real mastery is eternal. The real self is immortal. Consciousness, matter, are all forms of one thing. They are eternal. Remember the lecture? The first law of physics. Energy cannot be destroyed. We need to change form. But to go through that change, we have to go through great form. It's a war. But it's a war against ourselves. It isn't a war outside. It's a war against the infidels, the unbelievers, or the heretics, or against other religions or other groups. It's a war against ourselves. This is the thing, subtlety, importance, that humanity never gets. We come to a religion, we want to just believe. We want to take the security blanket from that religion and believe we are saved and everything's fine. It doesn't happen. It never has been. Angel, Buddha, Master, virgins, all that is pure in us emerges out of that. All that is pure in us. We are 97%. We have to pass through the great stuff. This is why we have to retrieve our energy from our ego, destroy that ego, so that energy can be transformed and rise up. First, we have to become a human being. We're not a human being. Animals. We are walking, talking vessels. Human kingdom. There are human virtues. Rare. We have the potential. They can emerge as beings. Such as cultivating or freedom. When we begin to save our energy, retrieve our consciousness, and develop this psychological equilibrium, the battle over our ego. You see, as soon as we enter into these kind of studies, our ego begins to resist. The first form of resistance, most common, is pride comes in and says, oh yeah, I'm going to be a great leader. And we think we are pride. We hear those thoughts and we think it's us. We go right along with it. Or some people say, no, that teaching is wrong. Science. I established it. My friends over there. So then we get dissuaded by pride, by jealousy, by desire for security, by the desire for freedom. Or we get dissuaded by laziness, who doesn't want to work. Many obstacles. And little by little, those obstacles intensify. If our consciousness is strengthening in the teaching, we're actually developing equilibrium. Our ego starts to get even more it's harder to maintain ourselves. What we need to understand is what this path is really about. In order to move beyond being a mere admirer of gnosis, in order to actually embody and incarnate the teachings of Christ or Avalokiteshvara or Osiris or whatever name you want. We have to understand what gnosis actually is. Gnosis is not a belief. It is not a theory. We teach through the intellect and through concepts, but we can understand the actual practice, the actual science, the actual methodology as a priesthood. It isn't just something to study in books. It is magic. But I'm not talking about magic like those guys on the stage that cut ladies in half. That isn't magic. That's illusion. The word magic comes from the most ancient tracked language by modern science. It's the Proto-Indo-European language. That's at the root of all European languages. They date it at about 5,500 years old. That's pretty old. And that language is the word mag. Magic doesn't mean illusionism. Illusion means real magic is the remain of our long and that word mag means to have power. What is it to have power? Energy. If you have no energy, you have no power. Right? If there's no energy in this building, no power. Turn anything on. Do anything, even to move your body, even to move your arms, your hands, your fingers, to move your eyes, you must have energy. That energy. That is the priesthood. That is what gnosis is. Gnosis is the path of magic. Again, we have to cast out that foolish notion of the word magic. It has nothing to do with comic books, with movies, with casting spells and making illusions and all that.
This dude's talking about what I've been talking about, like, fucking
Magic's real.
For a while.
But it has nothing to do with all of our fantastical ideas about it. So a real magician is a priest. And a real priest.
I didn't know. I never listened to it before. I just picked this
There are a
one.
lot of people in the world who call themselves priests.
This is shit I've been talking about for a while. or some of it, when I started saying that.
We cannot heal the sick.
A lot of people,
We cannot solve.
90, not over 95% of people in America are complete and total fucking retards.
Many of those who call themselves priests.
And you tell them, they're not gonna understand. They're not gonna understand shit because they're under the great delusion.
I don't just mean Western priests. We're talking about Shinto priests, Zen, Buddhist, Hindu, or whatever name. Imam, Lama, priest, abbot. Any spiritual leader. Using the term priest in a generic sense, refer to any spiritual leader. A real priest has power. That's the definition of magic.
Dude, I'm gonna go back and listen to this shit again. This is shit I've been fucking talking about.
Beggars, magicians, priests, men of deep symbolic skill. So a real priest has power, meaning that priest has energy. Where does that energy come from? We've been talking about how energy exists in a given system. And in us, the vast majority of our energy is trapped. Now, most of us is in darkness. We only have 3% free consciousness, meaning 3% energy available to be active. The rest is all trapped in our energy. So if we want power to change our lives, if we want power to get something, to do something, where are we going to get it? Where do we all go to get power? Now. Where do we go now? Do we go inside? Do we meditate? Do we ask God? Do we pray? Do we find the way in ourselves to get what we need? No. Try to get it from somebody else. And we need food. We don't grow it ourselves. We need money. We have to go work. We have to earn it. We have to steal it. We have to get it somewhere. We need to change something in our lives. Where do we get power, the energy? So these people that have power in our world, where do they get the power? They get it from within. Truly, where do they get it? Right? Where does a politician get his power? Where does a banker get his power? Others. Where does an actor or a musician get his power? You put that person who seems so powerful in our society, you put them out in the desert, totally alone. Could they do what they otherwise would do? Could they get what they could get in society? Not just materially, but emotionally, intellectually, spiritually. Could the person who in society, who manipulates millions of people at a whim to satisfy his own interests in society, what would happen to that person if they were completely alone in that? They have power. I don't think so. Now let's take the other side. If you put Jesus in the desert by himself, oh yeah. What up? Certainly. Moses, the past, they would have power. So their power comes from the sun. Their power doesn't come from anything. Their power doesn't come from controlling what the things they do. That's there
are two places to get power or energy. From inside, from outside.
In other words, there are two kinds of magic. White magic and black magic. Another very simple way to characterize these two forms of magic. White magic always acts in harmony with divine law. Always respects the laws of God. And it never forces itself over the will of God. Second, black magic is always against the will of God. Even when it seems to act in harmony or in accordance with the will of God. That's the tricky thing. In practice, it means when we try to get something and manipulate the will of another person, we commit an act of black magic. That means when you lie, you misrepresent, that's black magic. That means most advertising is wrong. Because it's a lie, cheat, scam, to get power, control, influence, by misrepresenting something, by offering a desire in exchange for a payment. Now the black magicians say, well, giving people what they want. Equal exchange, we respect it. No. Law works with the scales. Black magicians manipulate even the law to satisfy their goals. So what is a black magician? It is a priest, a person who has power or selfishness. In the most broad scope, that's the definition of a black magician. A person, a priest with power, who seeks to serve themselves. I don't know about you, but I know a lot of people like that. A lot. And that's why, in Gnostic tradition, we say, everybody on this planet is a black magician. We don't go pointing fingers at certain people, saying, oh, so-and-so is a black magician. That guy and that lady, they're a black magician. That is everyone who has evil is a black magician. This is what Samael and Leor taught to us. This is what we have confirmed through our own experience. It's a fact. There's never any reason, any justification for calling anyone a black magician. But there are degrees. One thing is the common black magician like people that have ego, that have energy, and misuse it. Of selfishness and desire for needlessness. That's one thing. So most of the time we do it unconsciously. We don't usually have really bad intentions. Then there are other types of black magicians who, through habituation, through the increasing of their desires, become more and more devoted to feeding their desires and acquiring content. We need to talk about that. So what we're talking about is the Arcana 18. Symbols that are encoding or representing cosmic laws, cosmic structures. Arcana 18 is called vital. Represents hidden enemies. Represents the black. What you see in the image are two dogs facing off against each other. One black and one white. Behind them are two mountains, two triangles, one black and one white. In the waters below is an inverted black triangle covered by the sea. This image, card number 18, is very complicated. If you know anything about mathematics, you know that the number 5 is fascinating. A lot of power, a lot of mystery. Anything you multiply by 9 shows this magical relationship of itself. Combine 9 times 2 is 18, and 1 plus 2. That mystery is everything that 18 times join. So 1 plus 8 is 9. There's a deep relationship between 9 and 18. Primarily, you need to grasp that all of us are under the domain of this arcana, so long as we enter. The ego belongs to our twilight. It is the lack of light. We are in darkness. We have ego. We have pride. We have lust. We don't have light. When we close our eyes, when we try to meditate, when we try to go out of our body to see God, to get guidance from God. There. We are. In fact, that's what this scorpion represents. The scorpion represents traitor. We are traitors. If you've been in any religion for any period of time or any spiritual movement, you always hear talk about traitors. The Gnostic movement, you hear it all the time. So-and-so betrayed the master. So-and-so betrayed Master Nikolai. So-and-so betrayed Jesus. Always let's talk about betrayers. They betrayed us. They betrayed him. This is also ridiculous. Let me ask a simple question about traitors. Who is the most important, loving, beautiful, vibrant, life-giving force? Betrayed our own fornication. All the crimes we committed throughout our existences, we are the traitors. We are going to point fingers at you. We betrayed our own divine God. There is no greater crime. You can point fingers all you want. Fooling yourself, as long as that finger is pointed at anyone. If you betrayed your mother, you have your ego alive, you were fornicated, you were broke, stolen, lied, all that. You are the worst traitor. Anywhere. That is that scorpion. That should be recognized. Let us not be fun of politics. Pointing fingers, blaming people, comparing ourselves, saying we're better than them. Our group is true to the master. Our group is true to the teaching. We are true to the masters. Gnosis, to the White Lodge, blah, 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 whatever. No, none of us are. That black triangle is the scorpion inside.
At first, like, everything was super easy. Now every fucking thing is covered. Like, everything. Every fucking time. Every fucking route's covered.
They are.
That's not suspicious at all.
Demons. Are demons. None of us are free from those three traitors until we resurrect.
Not suspicious at all.
Then we are truly worthy. After resurrection. Before resurrection, we are sinners. So let's not put ourselves in that. So this Arcanum 18 represents the battle. The war. The fight. It is the battle of two minds. It is the battle of light and dark. It represents the eternal struggle between the gods and the demons. Most importantly, it represents the struggle in ourselves between our energy and our energy. Our consciousness and our consciousness. Our house is not united. Our psychological is united. We are at war with ourselves. We can't even make a decision from one day to the next without second guessing ourselves. That's not a good thing. We're always in conflict, always in doubt, always tripping over our own feet, always nudging our neighbors and our loved ones in the eye. We are a house. So, what we need to grasp is that the battle that we're waging is very serious. Not easy. Serious in ever. We need to be strong. The main, most important thing is to put your faith in God. Pray constantly. That's advice. Apply the basic factors of the teaching. Stop harmful action. Adopt virtuous ones. You have to apply this principle constantly. In spite of that, we will have a lot of problems. We will have this kind of a black accident once it's true. And you'll discover the truth as soon as you start trying to work on your lesson. Lesson does not work anyway. It wants to stay fat and well fed. And your pride is not one to change. Your pride does not want to humble itself. Your pride always wants to stand. Your pride does not want to love your enemies. Your pride wants to crush them. When we take these characteristics with us into our spiritual life, we have conflicts with our brothers and sisters all the time. We want to crush them. It's not spiritual. It's pride. So the attacks will begin. The minute you begin that's when you start. If you're a casual, you listen, because you're in the hands of your traditional habits and your energy is still being held by your subconscious. For all the right reasons. One's inside of you. Because you are a sheep being led to slaughter, and no one's coming. But when you begin to try to take that fire from the devil, try to steal that energy back, it's a That means in all three brains. You'll work through your intellect, through your demon of the mind. You'll work through your heart. Now this is where things get interesting. I don't have time to a lot. The most common experiences that students have when they begin to transmute to sexual gifts, they start to have nocturnal visions. They start to have all kinds of sensations. They try to meditate, and the mind is worse than it was before. They enter into conflict with their parents. Their friends leave. They lose their job. The whole life seems to go into complete chaos. So most students, sadly, say, destroying my life. And they realize what you have to do. Not react. Whether things are good or bad. Painful. So, if you're a person who's married, you discover this teaching of transmutation, and you feel in your heart and soul that it's real and true and you want to do it, and your wife or spouse or husband says, if you even think about it, this relationship is over. Is that something new? Nobody heard that before, right? Yeah, I think probably most people. Well, that's a great ordeal. That's not the whole teaching. Now, what is the wrong answer? What is the wrong reaction? To attack your spouse, but everybody does it. You're not listening to me. You're so stubborn. You're so lustful. You're caught up. And we just get into a big battle. What is the right attitude? Understand the point. Even if they disagree with you, love you. All of your heart. As Paul said in the gospel, you know not if you may save your life. Don't put your wife aside, your spouse aside, just because of that. Commit. Live up to it. Now that principle applies to every other situation in life. We are trying to actualize the teachings in our lives. We have conflicts with our coworkers. We have conflicts with other students or other schools or religions. We have to apply the same thing. Treat everyone with respect. We have never any reason or excuse to drink. Act of vengefulness. Never. A true Gnostic student always keeps their belief together. Compassion, loving kindness, patience, serenity, concern for the well-being of others, even black relationships. We have a great example of that in our teacher, Samael Lord. He had good friends who were demons. And he respected their life. And they would come visit him at his house. His wife did not like it. But he loved them. He respected them. He loved them. If you've not read the book, Revolution of Beelzebub, read it today. It will change your mind. It will demonstrate to you how a master behaves. Not these cheap fly-by-night masters that write a lot of books and make tons of money. I'm talking about a Master who's beyond good and evil. Master who has embodied love. So, the point is, when we begin this work, we start saving a lot of energy relative to our efforts. Our ego tries to take it, and so do other people. Remember I was explaining the two kinds of magic? White magicians respect the law. They find the energy in themselves to do what they need. Black magicians take the energy. So, how do they do it? Start. There was a lot of talk in occult schools, mystical schools, Gnostic schools, about black magicians, and that we need to defend ourselves, and we have to fight against the black magicians, we have to do conjuration, we have to be at battle, save humanity, and all this military type of talk. It's fine. The problem is, there's a point. Much. The key factor. How does a thief get into your house? How does someone steal from you? How does a warrior kill another warrior? They have to find a weakness in it. If you want to win a battle, you need to find the weakest part of your enemy's defense, and you have to exploit that. It's simple. Simple, and it works. So what is our weakness? We have lie. First, we're totally asleep. We think we're masters of the universe when we know nothing. We think we're super smart and very intelligent and very educated, especially about God and spirituality, when we've never had a single experience with God. We've not even had a single experience in the astral plane. We think we're excellent about God. That is our weakness. We are foolish. We are naive. So that's what we use to keep. The main
Lucked
point,
out there.
before I get into the specifics of what can be used against us, is that only what is within you can be used against you. Makes sense? You have pride. Black magicians will use your pride to take your energy and to make you their disciple. If you have lust, they will use your lust. If you have fear, they will use your fear. And your ego is the same way. Your ego is this big collection of very clever, crafty consciousness trapped inside that wants energy. And it will use whatever your weaknesses are, they will exploit. Furthermore, the black magicians will use those egos to manipulate you. Very simple. So if you want to defend yourself, that's the main thing to learn. So when we begin to experience problems of black magic, here are some general guidelines of what we can look for. These methods of attack happen in two primary ways. The first is during dreams. Now, of course, most of us are completely unconscious all night, waking in the morning and then nothing. That's a problem. That's a big problem. If you're working to transmute your sexual energy, to save energy, to revolutionize your spiritual life, you need to become aware of the process of dreaming. You need to awaken. You need to take charge of that half of your life. Seriously, you spend half your life with this. Maybe not fully half, but maybe it's a third, but still a lot. And secondly, they attack when we're supposedly up and awake walking around. We call it visual sleep. Still, we're really asleep and dreaming. So the main first point, wake up. During the day and at night. Wake up. Pay attention. Watch what's going on. Let me clarify something real quick. The black magician doesn't wear a black robe all the time and have a bunch of tattoos on his nose and black hair that's spiked out all over the place with a bunch of piercings. No, those are not black magicians. Black magician cannot be seen in physical sight. You will never recognize one by the way they dress, the way they talk, the way they act, what the music they listen to. Nothing like that. It's possible. We're normal people, just like you. We're all black magicians. Firstly. Secondly, the really dangerous ones.
Do that shit not of
Sweet, humble, nice, charitable, spiritual.
made it go to 11. Cause I took out fucking what's his name? That should be fucking 11 now.
Physically. They don't have horns coming out of their head. They don't have red skin. They have big long fingernails.
Why the fuck didn't it go down?
In fact,
'Cause
they're very
I
sweet,
took
kind,
one out.
gentle,
Wasn't
exemplary citizens.
wasn't the Prez have
Gen-
one AP on
generally,
him?
in
That's why I took him
positions
out.
of
Was to
power.
get rid of that AP.
Generally in positions of
Put it at
power.
11, but I don't see.
Those
Didn't
are
go
the
fucking down.
ones that are weaker. Never suspected. So let's clarify that first. How do they attack? Samael Ameor in his very important book, Logos Frontier, describes this in detail. Really, the lecture I'm giving today,
Dude, what the fuck? It's
very
not.
perfect. Very bad introduction. You want to know what I'm talking about today?
Dude,
Logos Frontier.
it's not fucking adjusting. Cause that's 2. The reason I took him out
Any
was to.
serious Gnostic student
Oh, he's right there
have
still.
that book memorized. You will need it. It's that important. So the way that the awakened black magicians manipulate our ego to get power, there are multiple ways. Black magic is one. Of course, that's the priesthood uses power in a mystical way. That's through all kinds of rituals, mantras, practices, meditation, tantra, transmutation, you name it. They have millions of techniques, truly, millions of techniques. And the bookstores are filled with them. Not just the New Age section, not just the occult section. The business section is full. The psychology section is full. The religion section is full. Books of black magic. They're not black books with pentagrams on the front. They're really nicely designed. But the contents are pure black magic. The second way is through psychic obsessions. To learn in detail what these subjects mean, you need to study the books of Samael. He explains them very well, far better than I can. But a psychic obsession could be something that we get fixed on in our mind, whether it's a belief or a theory, we won't let go of. For example, if we become a fanatic of anything, that is a form of black magic. It is a form of being obsessed by a concept or a theory or a belief. That means that fanatics of Christianity are being manipulated by black magic. Fanatics of Buddhism, fanatics of Gnosis, fanatics of science, fanatics of this political party or that political party. They're all being manipulated by black magic. And every one of us here is a victim of this type of manipulation. We all have psychic obsessions. 3 enmities. This is conflict between people, quite simple. An act of war is black magic, where powers manipulate people to fight each other. It can happen even in a family. A person that has a lot of vengefulness in their heart, a lot of anger, a lot of resentment, can manipulate 2 other people in the family to fight each other, just for entertainment. I've witnessed that many times. That's black magic. Whether it's conscious or unconscious, I don't know. But it's black magic. It's manipulating people fighting between religions, it's black magic. When we see fighting between spiritual schools or spiritual groups, it is black magic. God does not do that. Samael and Lior does not do that. No master performs black magic, no white master. No white master is engaged in foolish politics or creating schisms and groups. None. That's all black magic. It's all the Black Lodge working through the egos of people, manipulating them because they're asleep. Quite simple. Number 4, organic illnesses. Black magicians can inject substances through our food to affect our physical and psychological well-being. Be very careful what you eat and drink. Do you even know what's in Coca-Cola? Do you even know what's in fast food? Do you even know what your neighbor gives you? What your friends at school give you? What your student at your spiritual school is giving you? Do you even know what's in there? No, none of us know. Let's start making some connections. Let's look at the behavior of people in society and what they eat and drink. There's a very strong relationship. Very strong. The reality is, there's a lot of black magic in our food, in our water, in substances that are injected into us, whether physically or chemically. Wow. Science is a big propagator of black magic through all kinds of chemicals and different creations. Number 5, vices. This one should be obvious. If you're really enslaved to your lust, you are child's play to a black magician. You're not even worth bothering with because you're so easy to manipulate. When you're addicted to pornography, when you're addicted to looking at other people on the street, when you're addicted to fantasizing about lustful images, very easy for any common on the street black magician to take all your energy from you. No problem. No effort at all. They don't even have to sweat for that. Easy. Number 6, culture. A lot of black magic here. Culture. The way many black magicians manipulate our media, television, movies, books, theater, music. Very deeply steeped in blackness. I'm not talking about guys that dress up like they worship the devil and play guitars. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about real black magic. Where through our culture, through what's cool, through what's hip, through what's accepted, through what is desired by society, we give all of our power, all of our energy, all of our acceptance and agreement. This goes through politics, it goes through our music tastes, it goes through our economic and social choices. A lot of black magic. A lot. And we all just go right along with it, thinking that we're just fitting in with society. Really, we're just pawns of black magicians, giving them power. Going along with the system like sheep as well. Number 7, false prophets. This one is easy on the surface, but humanity is really false victims. Who do we put up as prophets nowadays? Actors, politicians, musicians, right? We don't really put up priests so much spiritually. Not with music. Now we put up as prophets people that run big companies, right? If such and such a guy from this company says something, wow, we better put all of our money into that stock. False prophets. Of course, primarily we're concerned with spiritual messages. There are a lot of people out there claiming to be masters, claiming to be spiritual leaders, etc., etc. Very difficult to tell who it is. That's why in this tradition, we stick by simple, do not follow anyone. Follow your inner being. Your inner being is the only one. To be more explicit, don't trust me. Seriously, don't. I have ego. I have a lot of ego. I'm easily moved. I have a lot of problems. I have a lot of mistakes. I'm not a master. I'm not a spiritual God. I'm not spiritual. I'm just foolish nonsense. That I really hope to stop. Follow your innermost. That's the only way to be free of false prophets. Even dead, you have to be careful. When you're working in the internal world, also luckily, in this tradition, we have to take it. 8 inferior elementaries, and this is using forms of consciousness and energy that we have manipulated plants, larvae, and all kinds of things, including incubi and succubi. Incubi and succubi are condensed energy that condenses into matter, virus, masturbates. A female masturbates, she creates. When a male masturbates, he creates a succubus. Those are mental forms that condense with consciousness and want more energy to sustain themselves. They seek their woman, man, to feed themselves. So most of the time, especially in the beginning, we're seeing they have right to eat, because they're we have techniques for that. You can use sulfur or asafoetida, which are plant substances. Some of the practices. Moreover, black magicians use those elements. So if we have a friend or some connection with a person who hears that we're in gnosis, maybe it's a close event, we don't realize we're like having all that gnosis going. So that person just uses your own incubi or something. They can keep your energy and take it up. A lot of students have their thing. They're trying to save their energy, they're trying to transmute the those pranayams, but they just can't do it. They stop. That's because a black magician is nearby going, I want my energy. Very easily. And the way to get past all of these attacks is to transform that arcana 18. See, that 18, we add one of the 8. This is a big deal. It might seem like number games. How very important. Number 1, that 18, is the magician. Again, this is not a that magician is not true. I'll say that again. That magician is your that magician is your God. That magician is in you. So that means you need to remember God. If you're facing any attack of black magic, any struggle in your spiritual path, you don't know what's happening, you don't know why it's happening, you don't know what's going on. You're sick, there's an attack, you're using faith, hope. Don't go to your Don't go to some so-called master. Don't go to your instructor. Pray, meditate, that is the magician. That is the number one. That's why it's works. Most of us don't do that. We get out all the books, we're flipping through the book, we're going following up intuition. What do I do about this? What do I do about that? We're going on a chapter. Always avoiding. He's the one who is the magician. Help you. But you can only do it in accordance with the eight. That eight. That eight. Scale. Karmic law. That means you have no dharma. You have no credits with the law. You've done nothing to help others. The law owes you nothing. Period. You want help? You have to pay for it. Not with money, action, sacrifice to others, help others. Work on yourself and help others. That's how you earn the aid of justice. This aid also represents the devil of the soul. These two united, self-control. And that comes when you reach the Lord. And you add them together, your innermost is working with the law. Stated another way. Number 9 means what the word means. I think it's a word a lot of people hear, but I don't think many people can define it. But it's very important. Prudence means to have foresight. Someone who is imprudent is very naive and very foolish, like all of us. Always getting into situations with people before realizing what a bad idea that was. Like becoming close friends with a person who was a really bad person but you didn't know, or getting married to a person who's a really bad person but you didn't know. That is imprudence. We have a lot of it. What this number 9 is saying is that when we're walking from the lunar path to the solar path, we need to become. Meaning, get becoming. We have to learn how to manage our life. That is driving. This is one of the key elements in overcoming any blackness. Remember I was telling you, how does a thief steal? How does a warrior come for another warrior? Well, spiritually speaking, we're all sleeping out on the street. We don't even have our door. We don't even have armor on. We're totally exposed. And we go around all the time saying, here I am. Take anything I've got. We're blind, deaf, and dumb spiritually. None of us are awakened. None of us are even awake physically. So those that are awakened, we're like dumb sheep. Very dumb. Stumbling around with our eyes closed, muttering to ourselves. No awareness of what's going on around us. It is very difficult. Moreover, it is solitary. The hermit is alone. This work is solitary. It does not mean many people think you have to have a skill, a teacher, getting into swing with the situation. So, methods and elements of defense. The most important, the single most important. What is booty cheating? Well, let's lectures on that is still synthesis means the awakening mind, awakening heart. It means cognizance of emptiness in combination with cognizance of love. In other words, do not lose your innocence. No matter who you deal with, no matter what situations you face, treat everyone you meet. If a blind magician is attacking you, you awaken consciousness in the astral plane, you're surrounded by blind magicians. Don't react with fear. Just look what you do. I'm just telling you, try to be serene, to remember your being with you, and to look upon these blind magicians as what they really are. Demons are just those have been a parent and has dealt with it. No, it wasn't possible. That child lost their love. And not let the child hurt you. They may be lashing out and wanting to hurt you. You can hold them. You can restrain them.
Dude, what the fuck? It's just like doing whatever the fuck it wants to do, dude. I didn't.
However, not you're dealing with another person, another entity, that is bodhicitta. It is a mind that is in equanimity, that has cognizant love as its chief virtue. See, Samael and Peor attacked more times than any of us can possibly.
Thank you, come again.
Kill them at different age, or blaming them, or blaming them to help. He never said, "Hey, man." He never said that. All his students say that. Did you know that? All of his students say that. They're always condemning others to hell. We're already in hell. Where are we going to go? They can condemn me to hell if they want, but I'm already in hell. There's a story that illustrates some of these things. That Samael told some of the students. And I just heard, I didn't hear it. Samael was telling these students that he found himself very distracted, very sacred. He realized he was there. Some of the people wrote the sacred crown on his head. Because he wasn't fully sure where he was. He held it. He grabbed it in his hands and held it. They led him up to the altar. He went up there. He was looking, it was very beautiful. All the different things there, all the masters, all from the light.
Bye, bitch. You fucking.
He went up to the front and he said, "Okay."
The reason I quit is because of him the 3-3 on there, dude.
Or white magicians. Be honest. And these venerable elders sitting around the altar said, "White magicians." Samael took the mantle on his head, threw it on the ground. I don't know. Of course, they all attacked him. had to fight very hard, you know.
The only reason I quit is because that 3-3, and
What
he
it
said that
represents
shit like that,
is
and out of
even
suspicion,
had
he was a punk.
consciousness very awake.
And then he proved my suspicion right whenever he said whatever he said.
Never
But the reason I quit because it said that 3-3 shit on there.
always maintain a sense
And guess what?
of distance. And at the same time,
He proved exactly what the fuck I thought.
they
Proved my
attacked him,
suspicion
hit the
correct.
building, protect himself, and left.
And that's somebody that puts 3-3 in their shit.
But neither did he go and seek revenge and knock the whole temple to the ground and, you know. If someone's choosing to take that path, it's their choice. Adios.
You know, I'll finish this shit later. I'm ready to fucking go do some shit
So
outside
that's really
anyway.
the first two factors here, bodhicitta and psychological equilibrium. You need to always maintain that. This is the best defense. If you have psychological equilibrium, really have it, Black Magician can't get it. Very difficult.
And that's fucking hilarious, you know. I'm listening to like
So when they try to tempt you,
the shit I'm listening to is like spiritual tools, and you got somebody with the number 3-3 acting, proving they're a complete and total piece of trash.
I'm not going to let that element come into my mind or come into my body and control me.
The reason I talk shit to people on here is because of the shit that they fucking do.
Meditation.
If they're not talking shit first, I don't ever
Without
talk
meditation,
shit.
you can never defend yourself. Meditation is what empowers everything. It gives you the ability to control and manage. You have to meditate every day. And next, obviously, transmutation.